Welcome back to the deep dive, where we dive deep. If you're here, I know you're like me, you love to really get to the core of things. I mean, who has time to wade through pages and pages just to grasp the essentials?
Absolutely. We're all about maximum insight with, minimum time commitment.
Precisely. And today, we're tackling a true giant of American literature, The Scarlet Letter, by, of course, Nathaniel Hawthorne.
You can't really talk about classic American lit without bringing up this one.
Nope, it's considered his masterpiece for a reason. And we're going to find out why. We're going all the way back to 17th century Salem, Massachusetts, folks. A community steeped in Puritan beliefs where reputation was everything and straying from the path had some serious
Oh
consequences.
yeah, we're talking social scrutiny on a whole other level.
So our mission today is to unpack the power of that scarlet letter A. To truly understand Hester Prynne's story, what it reveals about the individual versus society, about sin, guilt, and maybe even a bit of redemption.
All within the context of this really rigid Puritan society.
Exactly. And to do that, we're going to be diving straight into Hawthorne's text, including that intriguing little intro he calls the Custom House.
Ah, yes. The custom house. It's almost like we get a peek behind the curtain before the main drama unfolds.
Right. So Hawthorne's writing this as the narrator, and he's a little hesitant, to get all personal with us, but then he's like, okay, I'm going to give you this little autobiographical sketch anyway.
It's almost like he's saying, hey, everyone has a story, even a lowly custom house worker like me.
Totally. And speaking of the Custom House, he describes it as a place that's, well, seen better days.
It is a little bit sleepy. A once bustling wharf in Salem, now with this kind of worn-down vibe.
Yeah.
Even the American flag is flying upside down, which, did you know, signifies a civil post.
I did not know that. It's a subtle hint that things are a bit off kilter there.
Right. And amidst all of this, Hawthorne's surrounded by these colorful characters. You've got your old ship captains, merchants. These guys have been working at the custom house for ages and seem to spend more time napping than anything else.
He even talks about how working in public office can, ironically, drain a person's energy.
And to top it off, Hawthorne himself ends up losing his job thanks to a change in administration when General Taylor is elected.
Talk about a shakeup. So, amidst all this boredom and impending unemployment, Hawthorne stumbles upon this amazing discovery. It's as if the past is suddenly whispering to him.
It really does feel that way.
Yeah.
He finds this package, this bundle, wrapped in ancient yellow parchment, all tied up with faded red tape, like something out of a time capsule.
Ooh, what's inside?
Well, first, there's this official document from way back in Governor Shirley's time. It's a commission appointing a Jonathan Pugh as surveyor of customs. Seems this surveyor Pugh was a bit of a history buff, had a real fascination with local lore.
So, a direct link to an earlier Salem. But wait, there's more. Right. This is where it ties into the Scarlet Letter, doesn't it?
Exactly. Along with the commission, there's this manuscript, this roll of old paper that tells the story of Hester Prynne and her affair, as he calls it.
The scandal that rocked Salem.
But the most striking object he finds is this piece of red cloth. It's beautifully woven, embroidered with gold thread that's a bit frayed with time. It's the shape of a capital A, precisely 3¼ inches long.
The Scarlet Letter itself. But he has a really strong reaction to it, doesn't he?
It's not just an intellectual curiosity for him. He describes this intense physical sensation when he places the letter on his chest, like a burning heat.
Wow, it's as if the letter holds some kind of power, some energy that transcends time.
Exactly. It really highlights the profound symbolic weight this letter carries. And from there, Hawthorne uses Surveyor Pugh's meticulous notes, a mix of written records and the whispers of people who actually remembered Hester, to reconstruct her story for us.
So we go from this quiet discovery in the custom house to Hester Prynne's very public humiliation in the marketplace. Paint us a picture of that scene.
Okay, imagine a sea of stern Puritan faces. Everyone's packed into the marketplace, their expressions just radiating judgment. And then there's Hester, holding her baby, standing on the scaffold. But even in this moment of utter shame, Hawthorne makes sure we see her dignity. She carries herself with this incredible strength. And on her chest, of course, is the scarlet letter A. Not just any A, though. It's exquisitely embroidered with gold thread.
That detail about the embroidery always gets me. It's like she's reclaiming the symbol of her sin, turning it into something almost beautiful.
It's a powerful act of defiance, in a way.
So what's the crowd's reaction? You said they were judgmental.
Oh, they are. The scarlet letter is instantly seen as a mark of shame. Adultery is a huge transgression in this society. Some of the women are especially harsh, calling for even more severe punishment for Hester. It really underscores the strict moral code of this Puritan world.
And the scaffold itself is a pretty powerful symbol, right? Hawthorne compares it to the guillotine in France.
It's the ultimate symbol of public humiliation,
Yeah.
a very physical representation of the community's power to judge and punish anyone who deviates from the norm.
And for Hester, standing up there, it's more than just physical. Her mind is flooded with memories of her past, these vivid flashes that clash with the harsh reality of her situation.
It's a glimpse into her inner turmoil, her thoughts racing while she's facing this incredibly public ordeal.
Then we have these two key figures who enter the picture. Reverend Dimmesdale, this charismatic young minister who pleads with the child's father to come forward. And then there's the mysterious Roger Chillingworth, who's secretly observing from the crowd.
Right from the start, you can sense the tangled relationships, the seeds of the drama that's about to unfold. Hester's resolute silence, Dimmesdale's internal struggle, and Chillingworth's watchful gaze. It all adds to the tension.
And even after Hester's return to prison, there are these whispers, these rumors about the Scarlet Letter glowing with an infernal light.
Almost as if the letter itself is imbued with some kind of supernatural power. It speaks to the community's fear, the superstition.
So, after this intense public shaming, Hester is released from prison. But her punishment is far from over, is it?
No, not at all. She's forced to live on the outskirts of town, her Scarlet Letter, a constant reminder of her outcast status.
Isolated, shunned by the very people she grew up with.
Yet here's the interesting thing. Hester makes a living as a seamstress, an incredibly skilled one. Her needlework is sought after by everyone, even those who scorn her. But there's one exception. She's never asked to make anything for a wedding or other joyful occasion.
It's like they need her talent, but they also can't stand to fully accept her.
The hypocrisy is pretty stark.
And then there's Pearl, Hester's daughter. She's such a fascinating, almost otherworldly child, so deeply connected to the Scarlet Letter.
Pearl is almost a living embodiment of her mother's sin. From a very young age, she's drawn to the Scarlet Letter, fixated on it. It's not just some random object to her. It's a part of her world, her reality.
She's also incredibly imaginative, connecting with nature in a way that the Puritans, with their rigid beliefs, just can't seem to grasp.
Right. For Pearl, those somber pine trees are like the Puritan elders, and the weeds are their unruly children. She sees the world in a different way, a more vibrant and imaginative way.
And she's not afraid to ask questions. She constantly probes Hester about the meaning of the Scarlet Letter and about why the minister always keeps his hand over his heart.
Pearl has this intuitive sense of things, an understanding that goes beyond her years. It's as if she can sense the secrets and the hidden pain.
Which brings us to Hester's visit to Governor Bellingham's mansion. On the surface, it's about delivering some gloves she's made, but there's a much bigger reason for her being there.
There is. Hester's heard rumors that some of the town leaders want to take Pearl away from her. They're worried about Pearl's unusual behavior, even suggesting she might be influenced by the devil.
Talk about judgmental. So Hester, she's facing the potential loss of her only source of comfort, and she's going to fight for her daughter.
She is. And the setting for this confrontation is pretty striking. Governor Bellingham's Hall is this grand, old English-style place, filled with portraits of stern-faced ancestors and a suit of armor that gleams in the light.
That armor plays a symbolic role, doesn't it?
It does. When Pearl looks into its polished surface, the reflection of the Scarlet Letter becomes distorted, huge, and menacing.
It's like a visual representation of how the community's judgment looms over Hester.
And Pearl, with that mischievous little smile of hers, seems to understand the power of that image.
Then we have Reverend Wilson and Roger Chillingworth joining the scene. They question Pearl about her religious knowledge, and her answer is so classic Pearl.
She said she was plucked from a wild rose bush by the prison door.
What a perfect metaphor for her existence, right? Tied to sin and suffering, but also this wild, natural beauty.
Absolutely. And during this encounter, Hester notices something unsettling about Chillingworth. He's changed since their past encounter, become almost sinister in his appearance.
Which leads us to Roger Chillingworth's insidious influence over Dimmesdale. He's supposedly Dimmesdale's doctor, but his true motives are far darker.
Chillingworth is driven by a thirst for revenge. He worms his way into Dimmesdale's life, becoming his confidant, all the while subtly tormenting him, playing on his guilt.
It's a truly twisted relationship. Chillingworth feeds off Dimmesdale's suffering.
And Dimmesdale, eaten up by the guilt of his hidden sin, he starts to waste away. His health deteriorates, and he's plagued by emotional distress.
You can really see the toll it's taking on him.
The tragedy is that Dimmesdale senses something evil is at work in his life, but he can't see Chillingworth for who he truly is.
And then, years after Hester's public shaming, Dimmesdale goes to the scaffold in the dead of night.
He's driven by this unbearable inner turmoil, seeking some kind of release, even though he thinks he's completely alone. But then, a meteor streaks across the sky, bathing the scaffold in this eerie light. And who's standing there but Hester and Pearl?
Talk about a dramatic scene. It's like a supernatural sign, this brief, ghostly reunion.
And Pearl, with her uncanny intuition, she seems to be asking Dimmesdale to acknowledge their connection openly. But he can't burn himself to do it.
And then Chillingworth appears, adding this chilling element to the whole thing. It's like he's a constant shadowy presence in their lives.
Dimmesdale almost confesses to Reverend Wilson, who happens to pass by, but he stops himself at the last minute. He's trapped in this web of secrecy and guilt.
Seeing Dimmesdale's continued suffering is what spurs Hester into action. She realizes she has to tell him the truth about Chillingworth.
She has to expose Chillingworth's true nature, and that leads to their secret meeting in the forest.
The forest is a really important setting, right? It's this space outside the judgmental confines of the Puritan society.
It's a place of freedom, a place where they can speak openly without fear. The contrast with the rigid, controlled environment of Salem is really striking.
And in this secluded space, Dimmesdale finally breaks down, confessing his pain and the torment of his secret.
It's a huge release for him to finally share his burden with someone. And Hester, in turn, she offers him more than just sympathy. She suggests they run away together, escape from Salem, and start a new life somewhere else.
A glimmer of hope in the darkness.
For a brief moment, it seems like they might find happiness together. But then Pearl throws a wrench in the plan.
Yeah, she's not too happy about Dimmesdale trying to be affectionate with her.
She can't understand why he keeps his hand over his heart, why he won't acknowledge their connection publicly. And when he kisses her forehead, she runs to the brook and washes it off.
It's a powerful symbol of her refusal to be part of their secret.
She needs them to be honest, to come out into the light.
After this intense encounter, Dimmesdale returns to town, and he's a changed man. He has this newfound energy, but also a strange sense of detachment.
He feels disconnected from everything familiar. He's even tempted by thoughts that would be considered blasphemous. And the people around him, they sense the change. Even Mistress Hibbins, the old woman who's rumored to be a witch, and Chillingworth, they both see that something's different about him.
And he pours all this energy into preparing his election sermon.
It's like he's preparing for something big, something final. And then Election Day arrives, and it's a time of celebration, a rare moment of festivity in this otherwise somber Puritan world.
The marketplace is bustling with activity, full of townspeople, sailors from far-off lands, even Native Americans.
It's a vibrant scene, so different from the usual atmosphere in Salem. And then the procession arrives, the dignitaries, the military escort, all leading up to Dimmesdale's much-anticipated sermon.
The anticipation must have been palpable.
It was. And Dimmesdale, despite his frail health, he delivers a sermon so powerful, so moving, that the people believe it's divinely inspired.
And then, right after this moment of triumph, he does the unthinkable. He walks to the scaffold, this time with Hester and Pearl by his side.
He's finally ready to confess. He tears open his shirt, revealing a mark on his chest.
A mark that mirrors the scarlet letter Hester's been forced to wear all these years.
It's the moment of truth, the public acknowledgement that Pearl's been yearning for. And for Chillingworth, it's the ultimate defeat. His plan for revenge crumbles before his eyes.
Then Dimmesdale, he finds a kind of peace in his confession. He dies on the scaffold, the very place that symbolized Hester's shame.
It's a tragic end, but also a liberating one. He's finally free from the burden of his secret.
So what happens to the others after Dimmesdale's death?
Chillingworth, consumed by his thwarted revenge, he dies within a year. But he leaves his entire estate to Pearl, which is a bit of a surprise.
And Pearl, does she ever find peace?
Her fate's left a bit ambiguous. It's suggested she eventually finds happiness and security in another land, but she never forgets her mother.
And what about Hester? She eventually returns to Salem, doesn't she?
She does. And she chooses to wear the scarlet letter again. It's no longer a symbol of shame imposed on her. It's a choice, a symbol of her own experience.
That's a powerful statement. The meaning of the letter has completely shifted for her.
It has. Over time, the community's perception of Hester and of the letter itself changes. It becomes a symbol of sorrow, of resilience, even of wisdom. People seek her out for advice and comfort.
She becomes a source of strength for others.
And in the end, Hester and Dimmesdale are buried together, their shared gravestone bearing that simple inscription. On a field, sable, the letter A, gules.
A lasting reminder of their intertwined destinies.
The Scarlet Letter is a story that stays with you, a timeless exploration of sin, guilt, and the possibility of redemption. It makes us think about the weight of societal judgment, the consequences of our choices, and the complexities of the human heart.
It's a story about how the meaning we ascribe to things can change over time, how even a symbol of shame can evolve into something more profound.
It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there's always the potential for growth, for change, and for a kind of redemption that comes from within.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the Scarlet Letter. But before we go, we want to leave you with this thought. How do we, in our own time, mark individuals who go against societal expectations? And what are the long-term effects of those markings, both on the individual and on the community as a whole? It's something to ponder as we navigate our own complex social landscape. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.